Hello, everybody, and especially my Rehobeth Church family again. Today is Thursday of Passion Week, and we've come together again to have a real short devotion focused on Passion Week, on Holy Week. And today is actually what is called Maundy Thursday, which is the day that commemorates when Jesus took the Last Supper with his disciples, and also when Jesus washed their feet. And so it's a very special day on the Christian calendar. And so I want to share a short devotion today, and I want us to look together at Luke 23, 33 through 38, and this might even be something that maybe you've never really thought of that I'm going to share with you today. And the scripture says this. It says, "And when they had come to the place called Calvary, there they crucified him, and the criminals, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. And they divided his garments and cast lots. And the people stood looking on, but even the rulers with them sneered, saying, He saves others, let him save himself. And if he is the Christ, the chosen of God. The soldiers also mocked him, coming and offering him sour wine, and saying, If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself. And an inscription also was written over him in the letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. This is the King of the Jews." Have you ever considered why Pilate placed a placard over the head of Christ on the cross written in three different languages? We are told they were Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. And this certainly seems like a very small detail, and in a practical sense, it was done because those were the primary languages that would have been spoken in the Jewish world. And a lot of folks would have been coming into town for Passover that week, and so as they passed by the cross and they saw Jesus hanging there, they would be able to look above his head, and they would be able to see what the crimes were that he was supposed to be guilty of. And so those three languages would make sure that most everyone would be able to understand. But I believe that there is a powerful spiritual symbolism in this as well when you look at the three languages and what they represent. Greek was the language of science and philosophy. Greek was the language of culture. And so by placing it there, it proclaimed that Jesus is king over culture. So if Jesus is king and Lord over culture, and if Jesus is king and Lord over our lives, then the way we think and the way we talk and the way we act, it ought to reflect Christ more than it reflects the culture that's around us. Then we also see that the next language was Latin. Latin was the language of law and government. And this proclaimed that Jesus was the supreme lawgiver and the supreme judge. And if he again is the king and the Lord of our lives, that means that he must govern our conduct, and that we must live our lives in obedience to his law, in obedience to his word. And then finally, the third language was Hebrew. This was the language of the Jewish people. It was the language of religion and morality. This proclaimed that Jesus was the king of religion. And by saying that, you're essentially saying that Jesus is and represents the one true God. Jesus was the true representation of who God is. Colossians 1:15 says that Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God. It shows that Jesus is the only true voice of God. Jesus spoke what the Father told him to speak. And Jesus is the only one that can show us the way to the Father. He is the only one who can show us what it truly means to be saved. In John 14:6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And no man comes into the Father but through me. Now, Pilate, when he ordered this inscription to be placed above the head of Jesus, he really did it to irritate the Jewish religious leaders. He was really at odds with them. He did it to irritate them. And if you read the gospel accounts, it worked. They were very irritated. But what he was really saying, whether he realized it or not, He was sharing the truth about who Jesus is, the truth that he is king over culture, the truth that he is the king over law, the truth that he is the king over all religions. But the most important truth for us today is he the king and the Lord over your life? And I truly hope that you have settled that and you've experienced his love and you have a personal relationship with him. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.